Hey everybody, welcome back! Today, in keeping with the last 8 videos where we have talked about the United States of America's many military conflicts, I want to explore a tiny exhibit at the American History Museum about the Congressional Medal of Honor. The Medal of Honor was created in 1861 to promote the efficiency of the Navy and now ranks as the highest award any service member can receive for valor in combat. In the early days of the Civil War, Congress established the Medal of Honor first for the Navy and then for the Army. Criteria for the award were lax and nominations required little review. More than 2,400 medals were eventually granted for Civil War service, although more than 900 of them were later revoked. By the early 20th century, requirements were more stringent. Between 1918 and 1963, the medal was restricted to well-documented and carefully reviewed acts of distinguished service. In 1963, a further provision limited the award to heroism in combat. The Medal of Honor is the only American military decoration worn around the neck rather than pinned to the uniform, and each of the 3 principal services has a unique design for its medal. The Army and Navy awards have the figure of Minerva, the Roman goddess of war and wisdom, and the Air Force features the head of the Statue of Liberty. The look of today's Navy medal is closest to the original medals that were begun to be given out during the Civil War era. The other 2 have 20th century designs. The neck ribbon for all medals includes 13 stars, symbolizing the 13 original states of the Union. William Perkins is the first and only combat photographer to receive the Medal of Honor. Perkins joined the Marine Corps in July of 1966 and received training in motion picture photography. He served in Vietnam with the 3rd Marine Division from July until October of 1967 when he was killed. On October 12, 1967, William Perkins was documenting the war on a patrol with his assigned Marine Infantry Company when the enemy attacked. In the midst of a fierce firefight, a grenade landed near Perkins and 3 fellow Marines. Shouting, "Incoming grenade!" he threw his body on top of it. His Medal of Honor citation commends his valiant act of heroism in absorbing the impact of the explosion with his own body, thereby saving the lives of his comrades at the cost of his own. Here we have Perkins's Medal of Honor certificate, his Medal of Honor and his Purple Heart, and his 16mm camera that he was carrying in Operation Medina. In this photo, Alfred Rascon is being helped to a helicopter for air evacuation just moments after the action for which he received his Medal of Honor. After years of delay from bureaucratic mishandling of his award nomination, Alfred Rascon received the Medal of Honor on February 8, 2000, for his service in Vietnam. On March 16, 1966, his unit came under heavy fire from a larger enemy force. Ignoring directions to stay under cover, the 20-year-old medic repeatedly went to aid wounded comrades. He put himself between them and the enemy, several times covering them with his body to protect them from grenade blasts. Rascon was severely wounded but saved several lives and prevented the enemy from acquiring American weapons. His citation recalls his extraordinary valor in the face of deadly enemy fire. Here we have a hat that Alfred Rascon wore in Vietnam, his Medal of Honor and citation, and his Medal of Honor flag signed by U.S. troops in Iraq during his visit to the troops. Francis McGraw entered the Army at Fort Dix, New Jersey on February 25, 1942. He trained that year in Tennessee, Massachusetts, Virginia, and Florida before shipping overseas to Algeria in December. He fought in Sicily in 1943 and landed in Normandy, France on June 6, 1944, before arriving in Germany on October 29th. He died in the Battle of Hurtgen Forest on November 19th at the age of 26. Francis McGraw posthumously received the Medal of Honor for his unwavering efforts to stop an enemy counterattack. On November 19, 1944, near Schievenhütte, Germany, McGraw endured an hour-long artillery barrage with his heavy machine gun and held off the initial enemy advance. When enemy forces brought out their own machine gun to stop him, he stood up in his foxhole and, in his exposed position, knocked out their gun. When a rocket showered his weapon with mud, McGraw calmly cleaned his gun amidst the roar of battle. With enemy forces approaching, he reassembled his weapon and returned fire, silencing the attackers. Multiple times, he ran over open ground to retrieve ammunition. When he finally ran out, he picked up a carbine and held off 2 attackers until he was mortally wounded by a third. Here we have Francis McGraw's Medal of Honor, a plaque presented to his family at the ceremony naming an Army transport in his honor in October of 1947, a New Jersey Distinguished Service Medal, a Combat Infantryman Badge, and an Expert Marksmanship Badge awarded to McGraw, a 1st Infantry Division shoulder sleeve insignia that he wore, and the telegram notifying his family of his death. Back in November of last year, I was looking for veterans and war stories from around the Charlotte, North Carolina area to share as part of our Remember in November series. And one of the grave sites that I came across was for 2nd Lieutenant Samuel Iredale Parker, who was born in Monroe just outside of Charlotte and is buried in Concord with a beautiful monument in his honor. Please look up my video on him if you would like to see his beautiful final resting place. I enjoyed this portion of the Medals of Honor exhibit because there is a computer here where you can look up any service member who received the Medal of Honor, see their photo, and learn a little bit more about them, as well as read their citation. I had to share Samuel Parker's story while we're here. He received his Medal of Honor for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty. Despite being severely wounded in the foot, Parker refused to be evacuated and continued to lead his command under heavy fire and was able to successfully establish a frontline position. Here is his story if you'd like to read along with me. Another veteran story that I shared last November was the story of Private First Class Raymond Clausen. Although not from or buried in the Charlotte area, Charlotte's Sullenberger Aviation Museum has Clausen's helicopter and a large display about him that I shared, and I would highly encourage you to check that video out if you'd like to learn more. On January 31st, 1970, Clausen was serving as a helicopter crewman during a mission to rescue wounded Marines in a minefield near Da Nang, Vietnam. Despite the extreme danger, he voluntarily left the helicopter 6 times, carrying and assisting a total of 11 wounded Marines to safety, all while under enemy fire and at great personal risk. He returned to the aircraft each time, fully aware that additional mines could detonate at any moment. He was awarded the Medal of Honor in 1971 from President Nixon for his incredible bravery and selflessness.
our mission in life, to help others that can't seem to help themselves. On January 30th, 1944, Navy transport ships arrived in Namur, one of the Marshall Islands, which was heavily fortified by Japanese troops. Richard Sorensen, a 19-year-old Marine private assigned to a machine gun crew, was on board one of those transports. Neither he nor any of the men with him had ever experienced combat. The next morning, they got orders to make an amphibious assault on the island.
We hit the beach at 12 noon exactly. We landed just to the left of the Yokohama Pier. But we ran into some really heavy resistance by the Japanese by that time. And so the battalion commander, the battalion commander, has the word to pull back. But I was with a group of about 30 and we didn't get the word. But we settled in for the night of what was the remains of the bomb or destroyed building. And just as the sun was coming up, we were hit by a Japanese counterattack about company strength. And before we knew it, we were completely surrounded. So during all this, we only had one light machine gun left. Our heavy had been knocked out. The gunner and assistant gunner killed, and somebody yelled grenade. And I looked down, saw it, so I fell on it, and I could have avoided it. But I thought if it goes off and moves, the 5 guys that are with me, we can be overrun. And the Japanese weren't taking any prisoners, they just let them as much. So I just covered it to prevent, from my friends and buddies from getting wounded. Well, that was the end of the battle for me. I laid there about an hour. I really didn't have much pain. The shock, I guess, was too great. And then the corpsman came over and gave me some morphine. I knew full well, what was going to happen. I knew that I probably wouldn't survive. But during the war, I think there was 26 Marines that fell on grenades. 3 of them survived.
These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country. But he that stands it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman.
September 11th was a day that changed me. With what this country has gone through, I had to ask myself, if not me, who? I can't just keep pointing the finger at the next guy.
I'm going to miss a lot of important things, perhaps many of your firsts. Birthdays, holidays, all the good stuff. But I'm a soldier. It's a profession that few choose, but one that the many don't hesitate to call when there's trouble to be fixed. That's our job, our mission in life, to help others that can't seem to help themselves.
Jane, you'll be surprised to hear about me getting a letter from Brother James. It came by flag of truce. It's rather too bad to think that we should be fighting, him on one side and me on the other. I hope to God that he and I will get safe through it all, and he will have his story to tell about his side, and I will have my story to tell about my side.
I was privileged privileged to be in the company of heroes. I observed 1,000 acts of compassion, endurance, and love, and for that I will always be grateful.
Democracy is worth saving. Freedom is worth saving. This country is worth saving. That's what I brought back with me.
For a while, as I read your letters, I'm a normal person. I'm not killing people or worried about being killed. While I read your letters, I'm not carrying guns and grenades. It is great to know your family's safe, living in a secure country. A country made secure by thousands upon thousands of men who have died for that country.
He made me feel the fear of being on the boat waiting to land. I can smell the ocean and feel the seasickness. I can see the looks on his fellow soldiers' faces. The fear, the anguish, the uncertainty of what lay ahead. I'm going there, Dad. And I'll see the beaches, then the barricades, then the monuments. I'll see the graves, and I'll put flowers there just like you wanted to do. I'll never forget what you went through, Dad. Nor will I let anyone else forget. And Dad, I'll always be proud.
The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. That this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Okay, everybody, I know this video was pretty short, but I really enjoyed this exhibit and I wanted to share it with you. I especially enjoyed hearing these personal stories and being able to look up Samuel Parker and Raymond Clausen, who are near and dear to my heart because I have crossed paths with them before on this channel and I enjoyed sharing their stories then. I hope you will go watch those videos if you'd like to learn more. Otherwise, I will see you another day in another adventure. Thank you so much for being here. Bye, everybody.